Здравствуйте, пойти. Так, перезагружу у себя сейчас ютубчик и глянем.
Hello, so I will reboot my YouTube now and see if it has started. So I see that I'm broadcasting here, but I don't see it on YouTube yet. Okay, that's it. Yes, I see. It's great that the broadcast went live. Write me, please, whether you can hear me, whether it's clear, good or bad. Turn off all notifications because nobody should distract us. So, well, let me remind everyone that now we are broadcasting with the maximum sound and picture in 4K, so enjoy it. So friends, write me whether you can see me, you can hear me. Now, I'm waiting for messages. So great, good. That's all fine. Everything is seen. You can hear everything. So today we have a presentation with you. Well, after the presentation I will tell you about some news. Well, and most importantly, I can answer your questions. Therefore, you can immediately write your questions here in the chat. But towards the end of the webinar itself, I will go to the chat and answer your questions. Okay? Now I'm going to run a screen sharing and we'll start.
И мы начнем.
So everyone can see my screen, fine. The presentation is visible, wonderful. Now we will update, we will check everything so that everything is fine. Yes, great. So friends, today we are back talking about GRAME, or whether what it is and how to work with it. And the first thing that is always worth mentioning is that it is money. GRAME is primarily money. But most importantly, money is unusual, namely in digital form. In fact, it's cryptocurrency, but even in terms of the size of cryptocurrencies, so to speak, from the world of cryptocurrencies, it is quite unusual and incredibly cool. The first thing that sets us apart is the use of technology, Hashgraph technologies. Now on the market, basically all cryptocurrencies are built on the blockchain. Well, Bitcoin, Ether, Elite Coin, and so on and so on and so forth. Everything is based on blockchain technology. We, in turn, started using Hashgraph. Hashgraph is a technology that, in the creation of which some of the largest and coolest companies in the world have invested. More precisely, these are Google, LG, IBM, ZAIN, UCL, FIS, Boeing, and so on. That is the largest transnational, actually already corporations, which precisely determine what we use with you. And I very often say that you shouldn't pay attention to what one individual person is doing. It is worth looking at what the companies are doing in particular. And why did they invest in Hashgraph? Why do we use it? And why is it so cool? Give me a second. Well, first and most importantly, what is the difference between blockchain and Hashgraph? This is just about the logic of its work. If the blockchain is a chain of strictly sequential records, strictly for all users of the system, then Hashgraph just works much easier. All records in it are chaotic, but you can, so to speak, chaotic. They have a certain algorithm, but they are chaotically scattered among different users. And most importantly, this is not a strict sequential chain, but just the same work randomly. Randomly, at the same time, all the records are not kept by all people. Records are kept only by some people. Constantly changes the people with whom they are stored. He constantly changes devices and so on. And due to this logic, the creation of a new transaction inside the Hashgraph works. This is a matter of a moment. In the blink of an eye, happens instantly. Due to the fact that there is no need to build a sequential change of records for everyone, and literally already the first 2 or 3 confirmations are enough for this transaction to be completely stable and have full confidence in the system itself. And because of this, Hashgraph has become 50,000 times faster than the blockchain. Well, the next thing, what flows out of it? It is actually a few more additional advantages. Well, the next thing is actually memory. Due to the fact that it is not necessary to store all records for all users, but only for some users several records, they are constantly changing. The Hashgraph needs much less memory to work, and just the same logic of the cyclic graph allows us to have only a few transactions, several records, and at the same time be completely reliable in their existence. Well, the most important thing, also one of the interesting additional advantages, is safety. Blockchain has a problem like a majority attack or 51% attack or 51% problems. It is difficult to obtain it, but in this case, there are already incidents. An incident of this process already exists, and moreover, not even a one-time one. So the blockchain is not the most secure. In short, for you, if you take possession of 51% of all records, and you can create new records, control old records, change them, delete them, and so on. Well, take full control of this currency. In a hash graph, this is mathematically impossible. Even if you keep 80% of the records, you will not even have time to change anything in them due to the fact that the chain will constantly change and devices will constantly change. To hash graph is much, much safer than blockchain. Well, let's look at a live example of blockchain work with you. On a live example of the hash graph, here we have the Hedera hash graph cryptocurrency. Let's immediately clarify the moment that GRAME is based on hashgraph, on a modified hashgraph, which we took from the source code and corrected. Hedera hashgraph is based on the most direct hashgraph, but they are different things. Hashgraph technology, Hedera hashgraph cryptocurrency, and GRAME cryptocurrency are completely three different things, but at the same time, they have the most important thing. This is support. What they rely on is technology. It was precisely thanks to the Hedera hashgraph technology that I was able to steer so cool. In just over a year, it has gained more than $2 billion in capitalization, and at the same time, it became the most profitable cryptocurrency in 2020, all for one simple reason. Instant transactions and security are just convenient. It's just convenient. It's convenient to store your money in this, send and receive it, and so on. And thanks to Hedera, hashgraph has become just one of the coolest cryptocurrencies in 2020. Well, then let's immediately look at examples of the entire cryptocurrency market and what's happening on it. Here we can see a segment of just over 5 years. Just here we can see, here we ourselves see the growth of each of them by more than 4,000%. Almost all cryptocurrencies have gained more than 4,000% over the course of 5 years. Well, basically this can be seen on the two players in the market, Bitcoin and Ether. Well, and most importantly, it's also quite an interesting moment. The market, the cryptocurrency market itself, the general cryptocurrency market at the beginning of this year has already gained more than $1 trillion in capitalization. $1 trillion is quite a significant, let's say, digit for any market because it just determines its position in the market. As soon as a particular market gains more capitalization or gains $1 trillion capitalization, it means that it is distinctive, self-sufficient thing and ignoring what is most importantly. Well, ignoring it is absolutely completing stupid thing. But all these cryptocurrencies have one significant drawback. This is what I want. Water. Let's continue. There is one very significant drawback, and this is just the great volatility. When the price of a cryptocurrency actually depends only on who buys it, who sells it, how many people do it, and so on. That is, the price of a cryptocurrency just depends only on the weights of supply and demand. And because of this, Bitcoin has almost doubled recently. The Ether has had such falls too, and more than once. GRAME is completely protected from it, because GRAME, the price of GRAME in the first place, first of all, is not justified by supply and demand in the market, but precisely by that. But precisely by the fact that people get it through recognition. The price of GRAME is the price of recognition. That is, GRAME is the first, one might say, backed up cryptocurrency of its kind, behind which there really is something. There is some process, there is some action, and in our case, to be more precise, device, this is just the same recognition. What is it? In short and very briefly, in fact, recognition is just computer vision. When we explain to a computer what a computer or a phone, depending on what we have specifically now in front of us, there it is. Is there this pack of cigarettes or there? I don't know. This bottle of water, this keyboard, and so on. When we explain to the computer what exactly it sees in front of itself, in fact, this is recognition. We have created one of the coolest and coolest recognition technologies on the market precisely due to the fact that it works quickly. It works quickly through the use of ARM processors, ARM processors of your devices, your phones on which you mine, and this is exactly the mining process. This is when we perform recognition on your device, and at the same time, practically nothing weighs in the application because we store all the data on the cloud, on our servers, and the recognition takes place already on your devices, which in fact are also cloud servers at the moment. Well, if we are backed by the augmented reality market, then let's see what is happening in it.
Давайте посмотрим, что у нас происходит на нем. Здесь все
extremely interesting. I have data for just the same year. The ones that we have in Russia at the moment now, for today, we have in Russia. First, this is, in a year we have more than 400 augmented reality applications. More than 400 augmented reality apps.
Более 400 приложений по дополненной реальности.
Development of any mobile application, well, even more so with AR. And let's take an adequate number application, since at least 3 months and at least 1 million rubles. And if more than 400 applications using augmented reality appeared in a year, this means that firstly, it is in demand from business, and it is in demand from business. It means that end users, and this, in the case of small and medium-sized businesses, is thousands, tens of thousands of different people. They use it. They use it. And it brings money to the business. Because of the business actually has only 2 tasks: to earn as much as possible and spend as little as possible. In fact, the only 2 tasks are business. And if it invests in augmented reality, and if we have such a huge number of mobile applications using it, it means that this market is developing, growing, and most importantly, the use of the AR brings even more money. We go further. 21%. 21% of large Russian companies have already used augmented reality at least once. And this again, back to the previous point. Only here, it is no longer a small and medium business, but a large one. But these are also larger budgets, and most importantly, the number of end users, people, internal employees, is no longer thousands, tens of thousands, and millions, and tens of millions. As I said at the very beginning, it's worth looking at what the big companies are doing. They rarely make mistakes, and in our case, almost a quarter of large Russian companies already used augmented reality internally, and again, they do it only because it brings money or saves them. Well, and also another extremely interesting moment. This is an increase in the number of people. A year ago, in the period of times per day, that is 24 hours, an average of 2,000 people used augmented reality. Any 2,000 people used AR on average per day. Now, a year later, this figure has already exceeded 16,000. That is the number of end users. The number of people who use AR per day has increased 8 times per year. Well, if we take as an example the fact that each recognition brings us money, then if we launched a year ago, then this year our profit would have increased 8 times. So, these were only the data that, at the moment for today, that we have already received, but we also have a forecast for the growth of this market. In the augmented reality market in Russia, specifically in Russia, here, 2019 is taken as 0. In 2020, we got 220% growth with you. In 2021, this year, the market is expected to grow by 140% relative to 2020. Compared to 2021, in 2022, it will grow by another 140%, and so on, and so on, and so on. Stable growth of 140% will continue until 2025. What do you do and I get together in 5 years? Within 5 years, the augmented reality market in Russia alone will grow by 1,200%. But this is only Russia. This is exactly what is happening in Russia. And now we have a technology for recognition. This is not an application. This is not a website. This is a code. In fact, this written code, and to use it, we do not need any borders. Nothing. We are calm. We have foreign partners who are implementing our recognition technology further. And therefore, we also look at what is happening in the rest of the world. And here the forecasts are even better. These forecasts were made by one rather large known company, the research company IDS, and it is mainly or just the same. I always rely on its analytical forecast. And here, she also made some predictions, which are also very impressive, so to speak. The first is the average annual growth rate of the augmented reality market at 54.03% every year for 5 years. So that you understand, when the Russian market grows by 300% a year, it's cool. 140% that's very good too. This is normal for us. When the international market grows by 5%, this is just a huge indicator. Well, just so you understand, let's just say that the international market is the average temperature in the ward together with the morgue. Therefore, 54.03% every year is just a huge figure. Further, an increase in the consumption market by 83.53% again within 5 years. Every year the market, the consumption market of augmented reality, that is, the number of people who use simple AR, you and me, every year for 5 years will actually increase twice. And this is no longer linear growth. This is a huge exponential growth. Well, at the last moment, which I like very much in this forecast, IDS has calculated that the capitalization of the augmented reality market will be $72.8 billion by 2024. At the moment, today, it is already $76 billion, and you see, this figure was straight. Well, it is very much underestimated. Then, I am even afraid to imagine how much they underestimated all other indicators. Therefore, the augmented reality market is an incredible and rapidly growing market, which is the most important thing, which we can make greater money with you. So, how? How to do it? What is needed for this? Everything is very, very simple here. In order for the recognition to work, we need to understand that your device is on the network, that it is that you give us permission to mine, that you give us permission to perform recognition on it, and that's all. That is, in fact, you just take GRAME, buy them somewhere from a neighbor, from a partner, from a friend, on a P2P exchanger, or somewhere in chats. It makes no difference at all. You buy them, freeze them, and put them on mining. That is, give them to us. Let's just say, let us know that, guys, keep the device, you can mine on it, I'll keep an eye on this, and that's all. Then we perform recognition on your device, and for this, we reward you in GRAME. This is exactly what mining is, when we just, that is, using your device for useful purposes. What you earn for is mining, and mining is divided into pools. We have 5 pools, 31%, 21%, 15%, 11%, and the final 7%. But after that, of course, there will still be an infinite 1% permanent. But that's not about that now. It is divided into pools, just so that we, firstly, can calculate the amount, understand how much GRAME and when our system will have, so that we can influence the rate at which these coins appear. And most importantly, that we balancing the scales of supply and demand all the time. If now we initially had a maximum percentage of 31, then already here, literally very soon, within a couple of weeks, in October, we will change the pool from 31% to 2%, and our mining will change. Mining percentages will change for us and they will be completely at new percentages. If at the moment we have 1 month, 19%, then 3 months, 21%, 6 months, 23%, 9 months, 26%, and 12 months, 31%. Then in the next pool, they change and change dramatically. This is 1 month, 7%, 3 months, 11%, 6 months, 13%, 9 months, 16%, and 12 months, 2%. Well, and most importantly, now we are still calculating, thinking over this moment, but from the second pool, we will most likely remove mining in 1 month. Our startup will start from 3 months from 13%. But for newbies who have just registered, in our test mode, it will be possible to put on a monthly mining once. For monthly mining, we can only have an amount up to 10,000 gram once. Further, 3, 6, 9, and 12 months. The cost of GRAME is extremely stable with us. We are holding at 2.5 cents and will hold on. This is precisely the cost of recognition. 2.5 cents we get for each recognition, and this is just 1 GRAME unit. But here, I think, just the same, everything is clear, and it is extremely clear and obvious. That's all for now. Let's discuss some news and updates. First and foremost, we now have USDT. Can you buy and sell on a P2P exchanger now? Using USDT TRC20 and IRC20 is completely hassle-free. Well, it already works. We already have both open and closed applications, and both for the purchase and for the sale, so it all works great too. It all works great, too. Well, in the near future, just the same, most likely on Friday, we are already launching the purchase of tickets for the event in October. On October 23rd, we will hold the first big event. And just the same, start of buying tickets from us begins on Friday. The ticket price will be 5,000 gram. The quality is strictly limited. 100 people, no more. We can accept no more than 100 people. Well, and most likely after this event, I will go for a drive in the big cities of Russia. I will also hold small meetings there, small events. Perhaps Max will appear in parallel with me in other cities. Well, perhaps we will make such a complete ring with him. Everything will tell a little about their own. So now let me open a chat and go over with you questions on questions. Oh, yes, and I almost forgot. The lottery of iPhones continues. I was still able to contact the previous winner. We were able to contact the previous winner. We received his address, and now we will send him his phone number via mail. And the drawing continues. Therefore, friends, under the record of this particular webinar, the record appears almost instantly, and the link to it immediately appears in our Telegram channel. Below is the recording of this webinar. Not in the chat, but in the comments, you need to leave a comment. Most importantly, it must be meaningful. That is, not just there, hello, how are you? It must be a meaningful comment. Something must be written meaningfully. At the end, you leave your Telegram username so that I can somehow contact you and find out further how we can be with you there. For example, how it happened. The first time I came to St. Petersburg to meet, and the second time, here I am, I will send it by mail now. To contact you, well, and most importantly, you must subscribe to our channel, like this video, and you must have subscriptions open so that just when I was picking a winner, we choose a winner at random. Every Friday we pick a winner. We choose this randomly, but make sure that you have open subscriptions, and I can go in to check that you are subscribed to our channel. So, now, let's go over the question that we have in the chat. So, hello everybody. Maxim, good afternoon. Please tell us in more detail what role the coin plays in the business or business will play for a case. Then why should we buy more GRAME? Will the coin be written on the company's website? Yes, it will be on the company's website. Look, the big business we are working with now is not buying coins. This will be done by small and medium-sized businesses just after the release of the IMIDAR application. Because because to work in these applications, they will need to pay either a one-time payment or a monthly payment. Just the same, they will need to pay in GRAME. So, not yet. What is the value of recognition? It's just that, in the work of augmented reality, without augmented reality work, let's just say without work, there will be no augmented reality recognition. But for business, this is a huge marketing campaign. This is bringing new customers, this is attracting old customers, and so further. Well, that is, everyone, I think, has already seen our cases, and since business is invested in them, and I want to say a lot of money is invested in them, but even according to the examples that I even bring in my presentation, more than 400 applications per year. For business, this brings, just like marketing campaigns, a huge amount of money, so no problem at all. People cannot understand how a coin can play such a big role in a company. In our country, a coin is not just a monetary unit, but first of all, it is a unit of storing information about recognition, about how the recognition took place, where it happened, for whom it happened, and so on. In general, GRAME is not even just a cryptocurrency, but a huge whole system. But it will take a very long time to just talk about it now. Perhaps we will talk about this at the event. People don't quite understand how recognition can work so closely with a coin because it's not written down. It will be written. There will be white paper, so no problem here. It will be published. This will also be published, most likely closer to already during the event itself in Moscow. The beginning here is very simple. GRAME carries information so that recognition can take place. That is, sometimes when it comes to our server, an appeal is sent to our server that something needs to be recognized, information on your device about what you need to recognize, how you need to recognize, and all the materials that are needed for this. All contrast maps and so on are sent to you already inside GRAME. That is, this is a cell storing information. Let's say everything there therefore is very simple here. So let's move on. Maxim, you can't take the month away. You can remove it for 3, but not for a month, since many went only to their hard-earned. Friends, well, first of all, I am opposed to taking debt somewhere, loans in order to bet on mining. This time. Secondly, a month will remain in test made for those who have just registered for the first time, got in so they can test, put on mining, buy on a P2P exchanger, sell on a P2P exchanger, and so forth. That is, test everything. Further, we will rather start everything from 3 months. So, question about payments with augmented reality. What will happen to them? We still think what will happen to them. Most likely, we will also transfer them to the GRAME, but we will discuss this moment a little later. So, why did you make transactions on the withdrawal of coins? 3,000 coins hung. How to sell them? We do not have a limit on the withdrawal of coins, so you most likely have some kind of lag or something you did wrong. But we have a minimum limit, yes, just so that from us, we do not take commissions. So that commissions for transactions, we do not. For them, do not pay too huge amounts for small transactions. And moreover, we would go bankrupt very quickly on this, or we would have to introduce an internal commission. Therefore, there is only a minimum limit. So, what do open subscriptions mean? This is that I can open your channel, and I can see who you are subscribed to. You can Google it. There is an instruction for this. It all works very quickly. Will the processing time for applications decrease? Yes, it will decrease. Cardinally, I say, now we are moving towards equating them. We had a minimum of 12 hours. Then we will go to 3 o'clock, and literally, we will continue to talk about minutes. So, can I add a switch from dark to light in my account? It is difficult for people to see. No, friends, light theme. We simply do not have, and this design is not even set up for the light theme, but from the word at all. No. Maxim, good afternoon. What evidence base, what documents can be provided to people right now to prove that Emily Technology is a real company? Well, friends, they don't even have to pay attention to Emily Technology, the company we refer to in our thank you letters. Let's start with the fact that thank you letters refer to me and Max, and we, at least, well, I kind of exist for sure. People at events will also be able to see this perfectly, therefore, and documents for the company and so on will be provided just at the event. So, does he cooperate and receive income from orders of large businesses, and not just from investments of the user of the application? Letters of thanks, at least. They show that we are working with a business. That big business is working with us. So, can I add to the skip in history when applying for a withdrawal? No, we have slightly different plans for displaying input and output. This will already display with the P2P exchanger itself. Good day. Will there be limits for 3 months or 6 and so on? Or is it only for 1 month? No, there will not be limits, but most likely we will introduce limits on statement on mining. That is, if we now have on the mining, can put any amount will be. We did this just so that we could quickly change the first pool to the second. Then further, we have limits, but I will talk about them a little later. We are waiting in St. Petersburg. We will organize. Yes, in St. Petersburg, most likely, just after the event in Moscow. First of all, I will go to St. Petersburg. How then does augmented reality work for large business if they don't buy GRAME? And I don't need to buy GRAME for it to work. They sign a contract with us. We work with them, they pay us. We connect this technology, we connect this code, and everything works for them. In order for this to work for small, medium, through our application, inside our applications, they will need to pay. Just the same use of these applications. Well, their subscription model, let's say, and it will be necessary to pay for it in GRAME. Big business does not need to do this at all. So, what is TRC20, IRC20? For ordinary people, what does it give us? They are just stable coins. In fact, TRC20, IRC20 are one and the same currency, but they are just in different ones. They work in different systems. She has a little, each of them has a difference in commission. There is a difference in commission, and so the differences between them are actually minimal. So a stable coin is a stable coin, the price of which is always $1. That's it. You can Google. It's always fast Googling. There's a lot of information about this. Will the profitability of the first pool change when the second is launched? H is the entire mining that you supplied during the first pool. Its conditions are rigidly fixed, and when changing to the second pool, you're still there. If you have put on about a year now under these conditions, it is all year mines and will be. Therefore, have time to get into, let's say, the first one. What's the difference between your project and the pyramid? Well, the most important thing, the main one, is that we don't need your money. You don't need to pay us. You can buy in our, well, we cannot. We do not have the opportunity to buy. We have the opportunity to buy on the exchanger, and you cannot even do this, but buy and sell from each other. We receive money from business. Therefore, if the pyramid always lives off the money of new depositors, then we do not have new depositors, and we do not accept money from you. We do not store them at home, and so on. How can I withdraw my millions through business if the government tracks transactions? We are dropping the sale of GRAME to a partner. I didn't quite understand, first of all. Secondly, well, our state tracks only transactions within banks, only in rubles, just transactions within banks. You can buy and sell them in cryptocurrency and withdraw them slowly, confidently, or you can buy in cryptocurrency, then withdraw them in cash, and so on. There are a lot of options, so well. The question is very strange. So, when will be added input-output from to the card? For now, I cannot say. There's still a lot of crap with this. So, hello, Max. How much interest is left for the first pool? As of right now, I do not remember. Haven't looked for 3 or 4 days. There is already very little left from the first pool. There are already some percentages if they have not gone beyond 0. So, let's move on. Artem, I have cryptocurrency cards in use. Can I withdraw money through them? Is the coin value always stable? In which cities will presentations be held in the near future? Thanks, too. The coin value is always stable. It will, when we go to the exchangers, it will of course change, up and down and so on, but it will be a slight increase, a slight fall. The only thing is that we focus on stable growth, but long and small, and the maximum that we expect is that the price will grow from 2.5 cents to 3 cents by the end of next 2022. So, about the event. Additional events are likely after Moscow. First of all, Moscow, the largest event. After Moscow, I will definitely stop by in St. Petersburg. I will stop by Yatsenko. I will stop by in Sochi, and I will stop by in Rostov. So far, these are exactly the cities to which I will 100% go after the event in Moscow. Well, again, let's see how it goes here. So, When will payments be transferred to GRAME? We have not yet approved at this moment. Well, plus, it will be decided for us after the event. And most importantly, we will create a separate chat for this. We will discuss everything separately with you, whether it suits everyone and so on, and then we will do it. So, is the project relevant for Europe? Well, since we have now, first of all, our sites are translated into different languages. Presentations are also translated into different languages, and even webinar recordings are translated into different languages. Our input now works with different cryptocurrencies. Conclusion 2. Recognition technology works. Our code, the recognition itself, also works everywhere. So yes, Europe and all other countries of the world without problem. In my opinion, only except for China, because there are huge problems with the Great Chinese Firewall, and to go there is straight, well, a coral for a year or two for sure. How long until the end of the pool is left? About 2 or 3 weeks, somewhere in the middle, end of October. So somewhere in the middle, the end of October. We are waiting in Sochi. All friends, thank you. All the questions were great. New laws will be adopted. Just read. Look for registration. We are not a cryptocurrency, but just a sale for storing information in a distributed network. Because inside a hash graph and Bitcoin, you can not only make a crypt, but simply store information, and we give the value of this information ourselves. So we don't care about legislation, so to speak. All friends, thank you all very much for your attention. Thank you all for your questions. Let me remind you once again about the drawing, and we will start selling tickets for our event. Thank you all very much for your attention. Then everything.